I just want to know who I really am. This is the most asked question going on in the world today. Because of the shift that is going on energetically, spiritually, and in all the other areas, people are asking, for the first time, they're starting to ask, who am I? Why am I here? What is the purpose of this human life? We're going to get into that. We're also going to find out what is even a more important question than who am I really? When you can answer the first question, then the second question of who am I is also very easily answered. But then we have to get into what this world is, because if we don't understand that, then we can really be lost. So we're going to get into all of those things in this video. So first we're going to talk about the only two questions that matter. And the first one is, what do I want? That has to do with your soul desire. The second most important question is the one that people are asking, which is, who am I really? And that has to do with your soul destiny. So I'm here to tell you that when you find out who you really are, what you're doing is you're asking questions that go outside of the earth matrix framework. And so it starts taking you in a whole different direction. And we're going to get into that, and that is an important question. But listen, I think the only question that people have to ask is, what do I want? Asking who you are is a question that you ask after you've figured out what you want. This will all make sense when we take a look at what is really going on here. So, first question of what do I want? This has to do with your soul desire. Now, what do you really want is not what your brain might be telling you want in order to distract yourself. What you truly want is what your soul wants, why your soul came here. And I'm here to tell you that your soul came here for the sole purpose of experiencing as much joy and pleasure as is humanly possible. So the answer to that question of what is my soul desire is not going to be world peace or anything like that. It's going to be something that is personal and for you. And that is the single most important question. We have been hypnotized out of that question because when people are focused on that question, they tend not to be very good matrix workers. They tend not to be very good slaves. So religion has come in and thrown in a bunch of other things to distract you. But the question you really need to know is, what is it that I really want? And this is your soul desire, the desire that you had before you were incarnated. That is the most important question. If you answer that question and fulfill it, you won't be asking any more questions. But if you are asking this second question, it means that you are desperately seeking to find true spiritual significance to your earthly life. So let's get into the second question, which is, who am I really? Not what is my name, not where I grew up, not any of the, I'm 5'9", 62 years old, none of that. That's not who you are. And that's why you're wanting to know that, because when you try and answer that question with the externals, it doesn't answer the question that you feel very deeply. Now, there's a reason why people are asking this question now more than ever, and that is because this earth that we're living on is going through a huge transformation. Everything you've heard about the Matrix is generally accurate. We are living in a simulation, and it is not real, and the person that you're running around being is not your true self. And so the need that you have to find out who you really are is really representative of the energy shift that is going on with this world that we live in. Because we are shifting to a higher frequency, which means that we are no longer comfortable just being stuck in this little matrix video game that we're playing. The game is changing. So the questions start to change. So when you start asking the question of who am I really, now you're starting to talk about soul destiny. You're talking about who you are outside of this earth manifested, incarnated reality. So we'll get into all of that stuff. All right, so here are the most important truths. This is a video game for infinite gods. You're asking the question, who am I really? Well, you're not going to find that if you figure out everything there is to know about the human part of you on this planet, any more than you would find out about somebody if you were looking at if you were playing World of Warcraft and there was somebody else's avatar running around. Learning and figuring out that person's avatar isn't going to tell you anything about the person who's on the other side of that, who's operating that avatar. It's going to tell you almost nothing. So that question of, trying to figure yourself out in this video game isn't going to answer who you are either. So it is important to understand that, but it's not going to help you play the game. So this Earth is a video game for infinite gods. So when you want to get beyond and start asking the question of who you are, I can give you an answer, a general answer, is you are a god. The exact opposite of what organized religion wants you to believe, which is that you are a created little nothing that is subject to the whims of gods and moral laws and that is not who you are. You are an infinite God, and you're playing a video game. So this is a video game for infinite gods. Second most important truth is that your human body is a 3D game avatar. That means not only your physical body, but it means your brain. It means your mind. It means your emotions. It means your personality. These are all manufactured. Now they feel very real, but that's because you have identified with your 3D game avatar. So very briefly how that works is, you're an infinite God. You are a higher dimensional, multi-dimensional being. You definitely could not fit all of who you are into the third dimension, any more than you could fit all of who you are inside of a video game avatar. You wouldn't be able to do it. In fact, you wouldn't be able to fit hardly anything. You can barely get yourself in just to experience it from the vantage point. Playing a 3D video game, that's all you're getting. It's just like that. But we're talking about the third dimension, which is bigger than your video game that you have, your two-dimensional video game. It's a third-dimensional video game, so it's bigger. So you can hold things like emotions, thoughts, personality. You can have emotional experiences. That fits within the third dimension, but it's not who you are. It is your fictional video game avatar that you are continuously writing and editing, and then you're playing it out. You're an actor playing a game. The question is, have you forgotten who you are? More than likely you have. I know I sure as heck did. It's only been very recently that I've been able to remember who I am outside of the video game. And even that, I am only able to remember a very little amount. So this is a video game for infinite gods. Your human body is a 3D game avatar, which includes your emotions, your mind, your history, your personality. Third most important truth is you are interacting with other 3D avatars. All the other people on this planet are 3D avatars. That means you're interacting with the tiniest percent of who they are. Trust me, even the most ridiculous screw-ups, the most evil, horrible, think about the people that you go, that is just, That you're looking at less than 1/10 of 1/1,000,000th of a percent of who's behind that. What you're looking at is a 3D avatar. There's a person in there, but they're playing a video game avatar. And their game has nothing to do with you. They're trying to figure stuff out and learn. Their soul is trying to learn stuff. And so they've chosen that avatar. The thing about the avatar is that the avatar is very reprogrammable. You know, your DNA actually responds to you. You can reprogram your avatar all the time, and you should be. That's how you play the game. Ideally, you play the game to improve your avatar. People whose lives get worse and worse and worse and worse, these are people who are not improving their avatar. They're making the same mistakes over and over again, or they get trapped in a mistake and they spend their whole life doing it, and their avatar falls apart. The personality of the avatar, the actions of the avatar, the living conditions of the avatar, that all falls apart. So your job in the game, part of it is to continuously be updating and recreating your 3D avatar as you go. If your life is getting worse, if you're getting physically sicker, if you're getting emotionally more unhappy, if you're experiencing increased poverty, if you're not having positive relationships in your life, it means very simply that you are not updating your avatar. Your soul is still infinite. You're still an infinite God out there. It's just how you're playing the game. You're not playing the game effectively. And it's real simple. If you change some basic actions that you take, the game will start responding to you differently. Your avatar will start responding to you differently, and you'll start having fun again. So that should be your first goal. Your first goal should be, how can I have fun? I'm going to tell you how to do that. All right, so it's important to understand you're interacting with other 3D avatars. You can't get too bent out of shape over the mistakes that they make, because avatars are not infinite gods. They're just tiny little programs. And, we talk about, people want to believe that there are things called NPCs. Let me first tell you right off the bat, there's no such thing as an NPC. I don't care how evil a person is, they're not an NPC. People who want to believe in NPCs, I don't know you, I haven't met you, but if you're listening to me and you want to believe that, here's what I know about you. You were deeply traumatized as a child. You carry huge wounds with you. And you want to see people as evil and soulless, because that's the only way that you can comprehend how you could have been so damaged, how people couldn't have seen your soul and treated you well. Well, you're almost right. They're not NPCs. There's a soul behind there, but they're playing the game wrong. Their avatar is malfunctioning. And what they did to you was very hurtful, and you didn't deserve it. But on the other side of that is a soul. And you'll know that. Remember, I told you that. Because when you leave this game, you will then bump into the souls of whoever was your father, your mother, your brother, your sister, your ex-wife, and you will see them as amazing creatures, and they will immediately, I'm telling you from personal experience, the first thing that they'll do is they'll go, I'm so sorry. I really lost my way in the game, and I'm so sorry for the things that you experienced. You didn't deserve that. So get over that idea that there are NPCs. But you are right. They are avatars. They're 3D game avatars. So you can't take anybody's actions seriously. You can't take it personally. Just like you wouldn't take the actions of an avatar in World of Warcraft. You wouldn't, once the game was over, you wouldn't be thinking about, that elf came up to me and he took away my spells and stole my bag of, you wouldn't care. You'd be like, yeah, that was the game. This is a game. And if you don't play the game in order to win, you get wrapped up in it, you're going to be absolutely miserable. All right, what are we doing next? So the rules of the game. So the goal of the game is to know your joy and seek it out. Remember what I said earlier. You came here with a soul desire. Unlike what I'm here to tell you that religion and all of the offshoots of organized religion was designed by the elites to control your mind so that you could be enslaved. Period. End of story. And the way that you get somebody to be enslaved is to get them to believe that they are limited and that they do not have any value. You then tell them that their value comes from what they give to the collective, what they give to the group, what they give to the leaders. That is society and that is religion. And the truth of the matter is the opposite. You came here to experience personal, selfish joy. Selfish? I'm not supposed to be selfish. So it's also a lie that that you have to make a choice. You've been told, and even a lot of New Age stuff, people who really think they've really got the hold. I'm avoiding, saying names of things because I don't want to make any enemies here. But people really take a lot of virtue signaling and talking about how they don't operate from themselves or from their ego, and that they live for others. That's called codependence. And you've been lied to believe that there's a choice. You either have to do what's good for other people, or you're selfish and you do what's good for yourself. And there's a very popular New Age belief out there that says, to the degree that you live to serve other people, you are spiritual, and to the degree that you live for your own happiness, you are unspiritual. And those are your only choices. And the truth is that the best thing, the kindest, most loving, most generous thing that you can do for all other people, including all of the gods, is to fulfill your deepest personal happiness, your selfish happiness. Because it is a lie that if you're happy, other people are unhappy. That's another lie that people lost in their 3D avatar will tell you. They'll tell you if you go and do that, if you take off and go become a ballerina when what we want you to do is be part of the family banking industry, then you're selfish and you're hurting us. If you go after what you selfishly want, you'll hurt other people. No, a good person, you serve the collective, you serve the family. It's not how it works. When you achieve your greatest happiness, everybody else awakens. Now, people in the game may get angry with you, but that's because you're not co-signing their victimhood. You're actually giving them a tremendous example of how they can be independent and happy, but they'd have to face their attachment to needing to be loved and accepted by the collective. So anyway, let's keep going. So the goal is to know your joy and seek it out. Second rule of the game is to remember who you really are. Now, all you have to do to be successful in the game is number one, to know your joy and to go seek it out. By the way, if you don't know what your soul desire is, that's very common. That means that you've gotten trapped in your 3D avatar, which is wrapped up in getting approval. Religion is all about approval. Don't believe me? Believe in this and you shall be saved. That's just change the way that you think, which means let us control you. If you believe this arbitrary thing which there's no way for you to prove through experience. But if you accept that we're telling you it's the truth and you accept it and your value is based on believing it, then we can get you to believe and do anything. We can control you. Just believe this and you shall be saved. Nope. Your salvation comes from living your deepest joy. And if you don't know what that is, don't worry, that's very normal. I can help you with that. If you want, you can put in the comments section, how can I get a session with you? I want to find out my true soul desire, and I'll tell you how to get a session with me. I've got a book out there on Amazon, The Shamanic Secret Commandment to a Perfect Life by Michael William Denny. The Shamanic Secret Commandment to a Perfect Life. If you memorize that booklet and you act on it, I guarantee you your life will change. Many people can't follow through on it though, and that's why they need help. I also can advise you and mentor you. So if you want to figure out how to do that, you can go to the websites and you can put in the comments section, how can I work with you? I'd be happy to help you. So the goal is to know your joy and seek it out, to remember who you really are. Now, this is something that is new in the game. Up until now, this hasn't been the case. And I'm telling you again from personal experience, I know because I've been shown this. So I'll give you a very brief example. So up until this point in human history, and by this time in human, we could get into some. Anyway, from 13,000 years ago to today has been a specific time in human history. When we think about the past, we're really going back 13,000 years. If we go back beyond 13,000 years, we go into a stage of memory that modern humans don't have. We are waking up to it though. But in recent human history, if somebody died and came back, if they had a near-death experience, their experience was almost always identical, which was that they would leave their physical body, they would go to another realm. Now this realm wouldn't be the true heaven. They would always have this awareness that there was something beyond where they were, but they were in some place that was not earth, and it was beautiful and wonderful, and that they were being shown, their life up till this point, a life review, and they're realizing, some mistakes that they had made. And then they'll be given a choice. Do you want to go back or do you want to go forward? Meaning, do you want to go to, to heaven, to a higher experience? Now, if you chose to go back to earth, they wouldn't let you past a certain point. A lot of souls will go, I want to go and see what's on the other side of that. And I say, well, you can't do that if you're going to go back. Do you want to go back to earth or do you want to go? And so if they had made the decision that they want to go back to earth, then they couldn't see what was on the other side. I've been on the other side of that many times. And I know why people weren't allowed to know that. It's because once you know what's on the other side of that barrier and you find out who you really are, you can't fit back into a third dimensional human. So how is it that I've been able to do it and I'm still here and other people have been able to do it? Well, because we are shifting out of what we call the third dimension and the new world, what people call the fifth dimension. That actually has enough room in it for you to remember who you really are. But that means we have to expand into that. And this is what's going to separate people from what we're just throwing out terms here, 2D and 5D, 3D and 5D. The people who stay in 3D are going to be people who are unwilling to expand. It's not that they're evil, it's not that they're bad, it's not that they got the, it's got nothing to do with that. Anybody can go to what we call 5D if they're willing to expand into it. But if you expand into it, you have to die to this identity. And this current identity is a third dimensional video game. And it means you have to die to what you think is keeping you alive. So you will go through a death. And all spiritual traditions talk about this. Even the Jesus tradition that I don't follow. The one part is that he died and resurrected. He expanded into his true self. The myth of Odin, who sacrificed himself on the tree of life. He sacrificed himself to himself. As a result of that, the mysteries were revealed to him and he became king of the gods. This represents somebody expanding into their infinite God self. That's what's going to happen. But in order to expand into your infinite God self, you have to take off the 3D goggles and you have to give up the identity you're holding on to. This is where the difficulty lies. All right, so the rules of the game is to know your joy, seek it out. Remember who you really are if you want to go that route, and then help others. Of course, they have to ask you. Help others how to win the game. Teach them how to win the game. It's very simple. Teach them how to find their soul desire. Now, you can't teach that if you haven't done it. You can't transmit something you haven't got. You've got to find out what your soul desire is and then teach it. So I'm in a place where I know what my soul desire is and I know what my soul destiny is. Remember we talked about that in the beginning. What is my soul desire and what is my soul destiny? I know what those are. And my soul desire is my job to make myself happy is to surf. Is to live in beautiful beaches and to surf and to do whatever I have to do. In fact, I'm going to spend the second half of, I'm going to spend the next 6 months traveling around the United States, surfing different places, because that's my job, make myself happy. My soul destiny, that's what we do tonight. Tonight in 2 hours, it's now 6:30, we are going to do the live guided interdimensional meditation. We do this every Wednesday and Saturday evening. We're doing it tonight at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time. And if you haven't gone to any of those, you can go to the live section on my YouTube channel. There's hundreds of them. You can just watch any of them and experience that. What we do in those meditations is we find out who we really are. And that will absolutely blow your mind. How did I get off on that? Whoops, we're getting ahead of ourselves. All right, so the goal is to know your joy, seek it out, remember who you really are, and then help others. Help others to find out what their soul desire is. And you do that through an example. First, you have to find your soul desire and live it. You have to figure out what your true soul desire is, the thing that gives you the greatest joy, and then go live it. And then by doing that, you are an example that helps others. People will start to ask you, how do you do that? How did you give up that career? How did you go from being homeless to being successful and enjoying your life? They're going to ask you questions. Or you might decide you want to go and teach, to share with others. But whatever you do, that's part of your job, is to help others win the game. Because remember, there's an infinite God in there who may have completely forgot who they are, and they don't realize that they're an avatar. You know, the game controller's down, and the baby is putting it in its mouth, and the dog is stepping on him. And then, you know, the game is getting all screwed up. There's nobody playing the game. So you got to help them. All right. The built-in game challenges. Your 3D avatar will try to make you forget. So the game is designed to do this. The 3D game is designed to do this. The 5D game isn't going to do that. There won't be that anymore. When people expand into that new game, there won't be any danger of them forgetting who they are. The third dimensional game, you forget who you are. The game is designed to try and trick you into forgetting who you are. That's why one of the goals of the game is to remember who you are, to awaken within the game. When you do that, then you start to be able to create your perfect reality. So this is the ultimate goal of the game, is to put you in a position where you are able to create your perfect 3D video game reality. to change the game. We're doing that right now. We are creating a new earth. We're doing it in these meditations, we're doing it. But anybody who's expanding is doing it. But the whole point of this game is to get to the point where you decide what you want in life, you imagine it, and then you create it. All right, so your 3D avatar will try to make you forget. 2, other avatars will try to shame you. We talked earlier about, some of the horrible things that people do, and we think that they're NPCs. Well, that's other people's avatars trying to shame you. Shaming you is the way that you forget who you are. Because you cannot be in a state of shame, feeling shameful, and also being connected to the joy of your God self. You have to pick one. So shame is, you feel guilty, you feel bad, you feel unworthy, but the real message of shame is you don't have the right to exist. Your value is based on something external that you do for others. Your value is based on how you look, is based on how much money you have, based on how much power you have, based on your reputation, based on what other people think about you, based on whether or not you are getting praise from the matrix itself telling you that you're a good slave. Shame is completely created out of a desire to have your worth given to you based on something outside of you. And the truth of the matter is that your God self says, I have ultimate value simply because I exist. Simply because I exist, I deserve all love and I deserve all value. That's why people worship God. God is at least on one level, is a symbol of our true self. And that's why people just worship God because he exists. His glory, his goodness, well, that's you. But you're playing a game. You're playing a video game. So your other avatars will try and shame you, which is how you're able to be controlled. 3, the game will penalize you for not seeking your soul joy. So there's all kinds of things pulling at you. The game is designed to trick you. And if you are able to awaken and get beyond the things that the game is trying to trick you into, you win the game. And these are the people who are spiritually happy. These are the people who have everything that they want in life. These are the people that are able to overcome the challenges of life. These are the people who are able to be happy and healthy and create their own reality as they go. The ultimate goal of the game is for you to be able to create your reality as you go. That's the highest level you can get in the game. That's why I said the most important question is, what is it that I truly want? Because that will teach you how to do that. We'll talk about that in a little bit. So the game will penalize you for not seeking your soul joy. So when you go after what the world wants, when you follow the shame-based program, when you follow the Ponzi scheme, when you are trying to live your life based on money, trying to live your life based on reputation, trying to live your life based on being wanted and being sexy, trying to live your life based on any of these external things, being righteous and good and all this stuff, being approved of by the collective, being approved of by God. When you do that, you're not following your soul desire. You can't do both at the same time. And when you do that, the game will begin to penalize you. Now, this is different for everybody. For some people, they can go, their whole life and, they'll just be kind of maybe a little bit miserable. And then there are people like me that the game will be so strict with that if you're not living your desire, you're going to be miserable. Absolutely, utterly miserable. And you see people whose lives are absolute wrecks. People who are addicted to drugs, addicted to alcohol, homeless, sick, miserable, insane. These are people who are not following the main rule of the game, which is to find out what your soul wants and to go get it. When you don't live that, then what happens is the game is designed to give you misery. It'll make you emotionally, psychologically, mentally unhappy. It'll make you physically unwell. It will make you poor. You'll have, not everybody, there's a lot of people who are insane who have money. But a lot of people, one of the ways you know that they're not happy is that they're miserable living on the street. They can't function. They can't find a way to have the universe provide for them. It's one of the things that happens is when you follow your true soul desire, the universe has to provide you with all of your needs. One of the ways that the game tricks you is it says, what are you talking about? You have to make a living. You have to go get a job. You have to earn money. You have to go work for other people. You have to make widgets. You have to go get a career. You have to go get a degree. You have to go get a certification. You have to do something, right? But the reality is that when you're living your soul desire, you will intuitively come up with a very creative way to make it through this world doing only what you want and somehow having the universe give you back in resources. It could be money. It could be just getting a free place to live. Who knows what? But you will find a way to get all of your resources met if you follow the main rule of the game, which is to follow your joy. If you go the other direction, you can find out for yourself. All right, so here are the game strategies. Number 1, identify your joy, live it fearlessly. Number 2, bad luck is the game reminding you to refocus on your joy. So when I teach people how to do this, I tell them that there are 3 worlds that they can live in. You can live in fantasy land, which is where you are living your deepest, most childish, joyous fantasies, as impossible and crazy and as wrong as they are. Or you can live in the real world, which is to be a slave. 1984, working for a company, living to make money so you can pay bills just to be alive, so you can stay alive long enough to go back and work for a company. That's slavery. I don't care how many cars you have, that's slavery. Those are the 2 choices. And then I say there's a 3rd world that you can live in, which is called compromise land. Compromise land is this. I hear it all the time. When I help somebody find out what their soul desire is. By the way, I can do that. I know what questions to ask you to find out exactly what it is that you want. Whether you follow through with it or not is up to you. But I want to say 90% of the time, when I help people identify what it is they truly want, which is really they find out. I'm just able to guide you to identify it. They identify what it is they truly want, and I say, well, that's what you're supposed to do. They will say, well, I can't do that. And I'll go, why? They go, well, I need some time. Really, why? Well, I don't have the money. So what I could do is I could keep working my job, and then on the weekends when I have time off, or maybe if I save up a little money, and then after I've saved up a little money, then maybe I can go start doing what I want. And it never works out. Never. Never. People, before you know it, 10 years have gone by, and you haven't saved up any money, and you haven't spent any time on the weekends. You're still in the same job you were. You're even worse off now. You're 10 years older. You're unhealthy. You have less money than you did. You're miserable. You're unhappy. So compromised land is where most people live, which is why most people allow themselves to be slaves. They think they're living a good life because they work 40 hours a week and they have time on the weekends to go bowling or get drunk or, whatever it is that they do on the weekends. And the reality is that you should be living your life 24/7, 365. You should be living your joy every single day. And you shouldn't have to be doing that. Doesn't mean that you don't work hard, but the work that you do will be based in your soul destiny and in your joy. And by living it, you'll be getting what you want. You'll be accomplishing two things at the same time. Your joy and getting your resources all at the same time. So bad luck is the game reminding you to refocus on your joy. Bad luck, ill health, money problems, that's the game saying, hey, you've missed the boat. You're not focusing on what makes you happy. Bear in mind, focusing on what makes you happy is not easy. It's going to be frightening, and you may very well piss off people, and you may lose friendships, family members. People don't want to be told that they're not supposed to be slaves. And if you decide not to live the life of a slave, you're going to piss some people off. So repeated rejection of soul desire creates misery, poverty, and illness. We've already talked about that. So here's the manifestation strategy. First, determine your soul desire. As I said, I can help you do that if you want my help. Second is to commit to fulfilling it. Now, this means something. Lots of people can find what they truly want, but then they won't commit to doing it because it's stupid or it's wrong or I don't have the money or, my parents won't like me or God won't like me or, whatever. And then you have to take direct action. So at some point, once you figure out what it is, you got to write it down or you'll forget. And then when you commit to doing it, then you're going to have to take action, which means you're going to have to quit that job, as an example, or you're going to have to start that business, or you're going to have to put it out there. I put it out there in these videos. I'm going to say 75% of the, maybe not 75, between 50 and 75% of the videos that I make are embarrassing to me. But I know how this works. I put it out there. The thing that I'm most afraid of is the thing that I do, because that's how the universe works. And the thing that I'm most afraid of is being my true self and letting the world see that. And you're going to have your own experience. It'll be something along the same lines, but it'll mean taking actions that you're frightened of doing, that are embarrassing, that may very well get you kicked out of your house, out of your family, might piss people off. But you do it. You take direct action. You follow the path of least physical resistance. So once you've gotten this moving, once you've determined what it is you truly want, once you've committed to it, you commit to doing it. Okay, this is scary, but I'm going to do it. Now, our ancestors, our pre-Christian ancestors, they used to do vows to the gods. And they would have a sacrifice. They would sacrifice an animal, which was a big deal back then because, we go to the store now and there's just tons of dead animals, chicken and beef and fish, and there's just tons of dead animals. But back in the day, you had 3 cows and a couple of chickens and a goat. And if you sacrificed a goat, that would be like, taking $50,000 and burning it. It's like, it was huge. So they'd do these sacrifices, and they'd sacrifice an animal. They'd invite everybody in the village to come, and they'd feed everybody. And while they were doing that, they would then vow to the gods, or maybe a specific god. And they would vow with their life. And they would say, I'm going to achieve such and such in your name, or I will die trying. You have to be willing to die to achieve what you want. You have to have that level of commitment. If you don't, there's a good chance the game will talk you out of it. So this is very important. So once you've done that, then you follow the path of least physical resistance. Once you've made the commitment and you've made the sacrifice, because bear in mind, if you say to Thor or to Odin or to Zeus or Shiva, and you make that commitment and you say, Lord Shiva, I am going to achieve thus and such, or I'm going to die trying. You had to follow through with that. You are in essence saying, strike me dead if I don't follow through with what I say. And so there was, when you make that kind of commitment, there was something behind it. We've lost that. In this world, almost nobody has that. So you have to commit to that. Now, once you've done that, you've identified what you want, you've committed to doing it, you've done the sacrifice, you're taking direct action. Then what happens is the game then starts to kick in a new level. And the game starts to then, like musical chairs, starts moving things around. And then all of a sudden doors open. Magical doors will open for you, opportunities will open for you, synchronicities will happen for you, and then you have to act on those. So a door will open and you're going to have to act on it. It'll be very easy to do, but you might have some fear about it. You might, like I said, sometimes when I make videos, it's like, this is very embarrassing. When I make videos like, this one, and I say, yes, in a past life I was king of the earth and this is what the ET showed me. I get my ass handed to me. There are people that come on the channel and you should read some of the stuff they say about me. It's really horrible. I delete it and I block them because I don't want people coming in my house and taking a dump on my carpet because this is my channel. And so I welcome you into my house, and if you don't treat me with respect, I don't invite you in. But I know when I do that, it's something that's really embarrassing to me, that's going to make me look bad in the eyes of people, that is something that I have to do. If it's a truth, I have to be honest about it. And I put myself out there. So those doors, when they open up, you have to act on them. But it will be the least physical resistance, meaning it will be something that will be easily done physically, psychologically, emotionally. It might be really difficult. It might be the hardest thing you've ever done. But physically. So the path of least resistance will make itself known to you if you followed, if you followed up until that point. Let's see, where was I? All right. So you've determined your soul desire, you've committed to fulfilling it, you've taken direct action. Then things will open up for you and you follow the path of least physical resistance. Once you do that, then an energy flow will begin to pull you into your future. Here's how this works. There isn't timelines. I want you to get rid of the idea of timelines. They don't exist. So the idea that there's this timeline here and it stretches out into the future and it stretches back into the past, and that there's infinite numbers of timelines and you can shift from one time, that's not how it works. How it works is we are all inside of this video game, all of us. And each one of us has the ability to manifest a probable reality for ourselves. Sometimes groups of people can share probable realities, and we can do this at the same time. So the guy who lives on the street, who lives in filth, who's miserable, he has created a probable reality because he's not following his joy, and he is living in absolute filth and horribleness. That's his probable reality. It could have been completely different. Your probable reality is the one that you've made up until this point. When you follow the actions of determining your soul desire, commit to fulfilling it, taking direct action, and then following the path of least physical resistance, what's happened is that your probable reality it's appeared for you. And you then walk through it. You're now living it. You have to keep doing that. And then what will happen is that energy will begin pulling you into a different probable reality, what people would call a different timeline. But it'll be your probable reality. Now, when we start talking about probable realities, then at some point we start talking about, the difference between 3D and 5D Earth, and that's a whole other discussion, but that's on a collective unconscious level. There's a group of people who are being pulled into a specific probable reality, and then there's another group of people who are being pulled in a different one, and at some point those shared realities will split apart. That's my current theory that I have at this time. But whether or not that's what happens, it is still true. And this is what it means by going with the flow, being in the state, being in the zone. You have to get in the zone. The zone doesn't fall out of the sky, right? If you're an athlete, you don't get into the zone because you just woke up and the zone hit you. No, you got up out of bed and you went and you trained and you got yourself ready, and then you went and started practicing and doing this, and then when you went and competed, then everything kicks in and then you're in the zone. And the same is true for going with the flow. The flow doesn't just fall on you. You have to kickstart it. And you kickstart it by doing these things that we talked about here, actually throughout this whole video. But this one, determining your soul desire, committing to fulfill it, meaning you'll fulfill it or you'll die trying. You take direct action no matter how scary. You follow the path of least physical resistance, and then you allow that to pull you. That flow of energy will pull you into your next probable manifested reality. And so there you go. Anyway, so we didn't get to a whole lot of who I really am. Because again, the question that has to be answered first is, what do I want? And once you're able to do that and go with the flow and create probable realities in the game, then you're going to be ready to see who you really are. Now, you can get ahead of that. And we do that. We're going to do that today. We do that every time we do these live guided interdimensional meditations. If you're the least bit open to it, you will get pulled out of this video game during the meditation, and you are going to see something about who you really are, and it's going to blow your mind. In fact, you'll doubt that it's real. You might even doubt that you experienced it. But then how that helps you is you come back, you will find out very quickly if you're following the game correctly. There are people who have experienced this and they have run away. They have taken off in the other direction because they saw who they really were, and then the gap between who they really are and how they're really acting was so huge that it was so uncomfortable for them that they just took off and went in the other direction. So if you're willing to take a look at this and you're willing to then go through the transformation of expanding out of your current identity, dying to who you are, then I welcome you to join me in this. Anyway, that's it for me today, my friends. There are things that you can do to make this go easier. Very quickly, we'll walk through it. CE5 Interdimensional Meditation, live on the channel. Go to the live section and or show up to the live streams. We're doing one tonight. We do them every Wednesday and Saturday. 12 Steps to 5D. If you're somebody that has a very difficult time finding out who you are, go onto my channel and go to the playlist that says 12 Steps to 5D. I also encourage you to work with me. It's very helpful to have a mentor. So if you want to do that, let me know and I'll be happy to tell you how you can work with me directly. The channeled Maoshan energy practices. That's what these are here for. So thunderwizard.com, if you click on shop, you will find this page. Scroll down to the bottom, you'll see Maoshan Summoning the Immortals. That is the least expensive one you can do, and just give that a try. If you feel the energy, then you know that I'm telling the truth, and then you can look into doing some of the other ones. Another one is celestial qigong. That will get you connected to the power of these energies. You want to start learning how to be like a wizard and control the game from the inside. Then you see the spirit fighting element sets: wood, metal, fire, water, earth. You can get those at the shop, or you can go to maoshan.thunderwizard.com and get all of them. And you can, again, learn how to master the elements and master the game. And your journey shifting to your higher dimensional true self will be very fast and very intense and very powerful, should you be so inclined to do so. And if you want to go through a milder path but learn Kundalini Yoga as well as Qigong, which is energy work, and this energy work, then you can go to thunderwizard.com, click on memberships, and you'll see Warrior 90-Day Lightning Qigong. You can subscribe to that. I work with you every day in a recorded session, take you through classes. There's more stuff than you can even begin to imagine, and it has all kinds of stuff in there. So there's something here for everybody. If you're not sure what you should do, ask me which one you should check out, and I'll give you my suggestions on what to do. All right, so that's it, my friends. I love you all. Please be very good to yourself. There's also this one here, which I think everybody should do, which is the Dark Warrior of the North, which you can find at both thunderwizard.com in the shop and at maoshan.thunderwizard.com. I'm not going to go on talking about the actual spirit fighting sets, which is, we're talking, Jedi. I'm not kidding. I'm dead serious. We're talking Jedi sorcery stuff. That stuff we also have here at maoshan.thunderwizard.com, which is the spirit fighting sets. Anyway, I'm not going to take up any more of your time. If you're still watching, my hair is off to you. I'll see you later on tonight if you want to join the meditation, and leave any questions in the comments. I read all of the ones that I like and the ones that are respectful. I respond to all of the comments. I love you all. Please be good to yourselves. I'll see you all very soon.